After the GameCube releases, every mainline Animal Crossing entry has had some form of distributed, downloadable content through Wi-Fi. City Folk, or Let's Go to the City, made heavy use of its online DLC feature, with Nintendo offering over 90 unique items completely exclusive to online distribution periods. This process was accomplished by simply interacting with your phone upstairs and connecting to the WeConnect 24 service, which allowed for distributed items to be delivered to your home. However, this system that City Folk used to distribute DLC items was actually quite exploitable. Not long into the game's release, modders were able to inject their own custom items that could be spread and shared amongst vanilla consoles. Some of these custom items are quite interesting. So let's dive into City Folk for the first time and talk about its strange DLC mechanics. City Folk is a curious case of DLC, because unlike other Animal Crossing games, the items that were distributed over Wi-Fi were actually added into the game. This may sound like a pretty standard way to do DLC, but Animal Crossing's DLC items typically always worked by just unlocking items that were already present in the game, or in newer titles, present in a patch. For example, the GameCube original Animal Crossing has special e-reader cards that unlock special items in the game, but these items were always present on Animal Crossing's disc, and their IDs already existed in the game. However, with City Folk, the DLC items are not present on the disc at all. Instead, the game reserves 256 slots on your save file to append DLC data fetched through the WeConnect 24 service. This service was used officially 91 times, and there was even special competitions where players got to vote on which items they would like to be included as DLC. Most of these items were actually pretty cool, so it's a shame that they're all locked as DLC appended onto a save file. Still, at least all of the data associated with these items has been preserved online, so you can mod them in manually. Anyways, while this system was pretty cool and allowed for variable DLC items to be added post-launch, there were some unintended repercussions of handling DLC this way. That is, when players heard that there were 256 reserved slots available for DLC, modders quickly got to work modeling their own custom designs and items to self-insert into these slots. From my understanding, back in the day, knowledge on how exactly to format custom data into these slots wasn't very widespread and was actually gatekept by a few modders who were determined to only release quality hacked DLC items. Some of these more quality DLC creations included things like guitars, giant crayons, and yes, even lightsabers that you could swing around. Of course, you can probably tell that all of these items use the axe as a base and are essentially glorified model swaps with a different name. Still, all the models and textures show up on a standard copy of the game just by inserting data into the reserved DLC slots, which is pretty cool. Other cool hacked DLC that modders released included clothing items based on various other properties, such as the Captain Falcon helmet, the Ash Ketchum hat, and a Dimentio mask from Paper Mario. But if modders went through the trouble of creating these items, then why did they not want people to understand the process on how to create their own items? Well, the answer is that even though DLC slots are appended to your own personal copy of the game, City Folk also has a way to trade DLC items and transfer the data in these slots to other players. See, back when Nintendo supported online connectivity for City Folk, players could easily visit other towns over Wi-Fi. When visiting players that have DLC items installed, the game actually copies over the occupied DLC items from the host game and transfers them to yours. This may sound like a weird approach, but it makes sense in terms of how the game renders items and fetches data. If the game did not copy over DLC data to visitors, those who missed any DLC distributions would be missing that data on their copy, and the items would not render on their side of the connection. And yet, this approach means that if you visit a player that had a modded Wii and a hacked DLC item, all of the data associated with that item is copied over to your save even if you're running a vanilla console. Since your save now has the hacked DLC associated with it, hosting a Wi-Fi session yourself will also transfer this DLC to any visitors you get as well. Therefore, it's easy to see how quick these hacked DLC items could spread across City Folk's online community. This is why modders were hesitant to make hack DLC a widespread process. Remember, you can insert basically anything you want into these slots, meaning online trolls could easily mod in something inappropriate and share it with unsuspecting vanilla users. Another problem with this system is that hacked items were released while Nintendo's official DLC distributions were still ongoing. Recall that only 256 slots are available for DLC, and both official distributions and hacked items must share this space. From my understanding, the game prioritizes whatever data is within a DLC slot first and will not overwrite that space with new data. This means that if a modder inserted a lightsaber into slot 36, for example, and Nintendo later distributed an official item that was supposed to be downloaded into slot 36, this data would fail to be written, and you'd be stuck with the original hacked item that you already have. This means you could technically be locked out of certain official DLC items unless you manually cleared your DLC item slots yourself. This also means that two players could visit each other with different items occupied in the same respective DLC slot. For example, if player A has the Captain Falcon helmet occupied in slot 48 and visits player B who has the red Pikmin hat occupied in the same slot, no data will be copied over since the slot is already occupied. These items will now conflict and render completely differently depending on which copy you're viewing it from. Player A will see this item as the Captain Falcon helmet, but player B will see it as the red Pikmin hat on their copy. Again, this was a real problem back in the day, when both hacked DLC and official distributions were being sent out at the same time. However, with the end of WeConnect 24, official distributions ended, occupying only 91 of these 256 slots, which now leaves modders with 165 slots to insert custom items with no overlap conflicts. It's worthy to note that certain DLC items were also able to be cataloged by Tom Nook and can be reordered at any time. This of course includes the hacked DLC items, which will be added to your catalog if you ever pick one up. These items also have varying buy and sell prices associated with them in their data. Funnily enough, the blue lightsaber DLC item sells for an insane 1.75 million bells. But unfortunately, you can never sell this item, since the max number of bells you can hold at any one time is 1,584,999. Therefore, Tom Nook will always reject the purchase, saying your pockets are too small to hold all of the money. Scam artist. As a final point, it also looks like CityFolk was planning to distribute DLC villagers in addition to items, but this feature was scrapped and left unused in the game. If this was officially implemented, it would work quite similar to Dobutsu no Mori E+, which does support importing external DLC villagers through e-reader cards. But unfortunately, support for this feature is pretty broken in the game, so it's disabled entirely and goes unused. To be honest, I didn't play CityFolk all that much, so looking into the game's history and seeing trivia like this was pretty cool to learn about. I hope this short little video was able to share something interesting with you all as well. As always, a very special thank you to my patrons and YouTube members for supporting my channel here. Big shoutouts to Lunascape, Cynthia, Dylan Trudeau, Silly Marina, Villager, Terumi, Vinny Diddy, Pidge01, Kai D, ComfyBoy404, Cass, Hornet, Japan Eat, Tammy's Head, Exploding Bears, Holly Molly, Idrin, The Amazing Wolfie, Sitz, Zip, Bobby Nard, Comfy, Tenchi Prime, Goose Fart, Moggery, Puff, The Casual Perry, Fubbington, and Clifford Longhead. And of course, thank you all so much for watching. Until next time.